Doctors and nurses of Reddit who have delivered babies to mothers who clearly cheated on their husbands. What was that like? My brother had a surprise baby this way. He and a co-worker had a one-night stand while she was broken up with her ex. She gets back with her ex. Ends up pregnant. Flash forward to the delivery day. The day my brother sends me a picture of a random baby out of the blue and says, "I think I am a dad." She is white. Her boyfriend is black. My brother is white. Baby came out looking very white. I don't know how it went down in the hospital room, but I know they separated very soon after. My brother went to visit her in the hospital and asked her if she would let him take a paternity test. She agreed and it came back positive a week later. And that's how I got my surprise nephew. Surprise mechanics. Newborn had chlamydia. Got it from the mom. Obviously. So the mom admits she was cheating on the dad. Because there's no other way to explain that one. Except the dad was cheating too. With the other guy's girlfriend. And all four of them had chlamydia. With no idea who had it first. They also had no idea who the actual dad was. That was a rodeo. Poor baby. Anesthesiologist here. C-sections are typically done under spinal anesthesia. And we're the ones at the head of the table keeping the mother calm and talking her through the procedure while the surgeons operate. I've seen it more than once. But I remember one in particular when the parents were both very Caucasian. And the baby was very much not the actual father, obviously had to be very dark-skinned. At delivery. When the not father saw the baby, he just looked down at his wife, who was starting to cry, and calmly said, "You effing girl," and walked out. She started screaming for him to come back. But there wasn't much she could do since she was, still being operated on. She lost it to the point I eventually had to sedate her just a bit because she was in danger of injuring herself. As far as I know, her husband never came back to the hospital. I don't know what happened after that. She's a high stakes gambler. 50/50 I come out of this scot-free. Not a doctor. But my best friend's brother-in-law has two black parents and came out completely white. DNA test confirmed they were both his parents. It just be like that sometimes. Not exactly cheating, but definitely an awkward situation. During my OB rotation in med school, I was caring for a patient with a very large family. The kind that all wanted to be part of the delivery process from beginning to end. They were having a baby girl. And the room was absolutely filled from wall to wall with pink presents, bassinets, blankets, clothing, embroidered quilts, you name it. Anyways, I deliver the baby and I'm horrified, thinking there was some sort of mutation in the baby's lady part. After my initial shock, I realized it was simply a perfectly normal looking baby pee-pee and testicles. The "congrats, it's a boy" was met with shock instead of excitement initially. But then everyone was so happy after understanding he was perfectly healthy. Apparently even with good prenatal care. You can miss the male genitalia on ultrasounds about 1% of the time. Super awkward for everyone involved. The husband was only in the room for a bit, then left and didn't see him again. The father of baby, showed up after the baby was born. I've also had where they didn't know whose baby it was, so both guys were present to see whose they thought it was. Two of my cousins and one of our friends had that situation. The girl was upfront with all of them when she found out she was pregnant. She wasn't dating any of them, just being a free spirit. So, there they were. 3 dudes sitting in a waiting room waiting to find out whose life would change forever. Baby came out a spitting image of one of my cousins. To this day I'm amazed how well it all worked out. No drama. Kid has 2 loving parents even though they've never formally been together. I'm a nurse. I have seen quite a few situations where dad turns out not to be dad. But never because of the color of the newborn. I have, however, seen an absolute F-ton of kids who are born and don't look like the same ethnicity as their parents for days or sometimes a couple of weeks. Babies often look darker when they are born. Just saying. Some of these anecdotal stories might not necessarily be true. Both of my parents have blonde hair. When I was born, my hair was strawberry blonde. My paternal grandparents lost their shit and accused my mom of cheating because red tinted hair didn't run in their family. However, it ran in my mom's family with a redhead popping up every now and then. My paternal grandparents didn't know that. They just really hated my mom, so looked for excuses to drag her down. It wasn't until I stopped looking like a potato, as most newborns do, and started looking like a person when my dad's family features came through enough to make them apologize to my mom. Your grandparents sound like a-holes. I'm of Irish descent. Extremely pale. Freckled. Wavy dark hair and darker green eyes. My fiancé is half Native American. Half German. Dark hair and slightly wavy as well. My daughter came out with light brown curly hair and ever so slight strawberry blonde pieces mixed throughout curls for days undefined. And the nurse goes, wow. Where did you get that hair? Knowing I had similar color as a baby and my mother has kinky curly hair. My husband, in a room full of nurses, goes, I don't know, jaded. Where did she get that hair? I could have effing killed him. I have a white friend who is a superman of a dad. When his third child was born, she was obviously of mixed race. His white wife had an affair with a black man. The wife also had substance abuse issues before this pregnancy and was no longer dependable or stable as a mother. So my friend immediately divorced her and took custody of the kids. All of them. He's been raising his 2 bio kids and the third child, who isn't technically his, for the past decade. She's his princess and he loves her exactly like the other 2. Mother to be warned. This could go one of 2 ways prior to delivery. Wasn't sure what she meant. She was white, as was her husband. Delivered baby was black. Then it all made sense. So one of my very white friend's girlfriends was pregnant. And when the baby was born it was very purple looking. Buddy flipped out. Went on Facebook announcing she was cheating and had another man's baby. Few days later the baby was very white and the DNA test showed it was his. He just deleted his whole damn Facebook instead of owning up to it. When my baby was born people asked me if her father was Polynesian. Nope. He's a skinny white man. There was no doubt he was the father. She was born with thick black hair. She was a big baby, 4 kilograms, and had jaundice which made her look very tan. The hair fell out. The jaundice went away. She thinned out. I now have a strawberry blonde haired 2-year-old that looks exactly like her papa. But man, if I hadn't known he was the only man I'd slept with I would have some serious doubts. Thanks for this. Now I have the mental image of a baby popping out. The mother looking at the baby and audibly going, wait a minute. I don't remember cheating. My brother married a half Korean, half white woman who had 3 girls to the same Mexican guy. The first girl looks Latina. The second girl looks Pacific Islander. The third girl has platinum blonde hair and icy blue eyes. They look nothing alike. And yet if you look at their lineage it all makes sense. I don't know if this ever caused any issues between her and her ex. But I could understand if an eyebrow was raised in the third one. Now she has a 4th girl with my brother and she looks nothing like the other 3. Just standard brown hair, brown eyed white girl. I know this ain't super relevant to the question but it always entertains me. Not a cheating story. But my sister's friend was born fair skin with red hair and green hazel eye colored. Both parents are dark skinned with black hair and brown eyes. When her mom gave birth, everyone in the room went silent. However, the father knew that his wife didn't cheat. Turned out, his wife's great-great-grandmother had red hair and fair skin. However, hospital protocol made both parents get a DNA test, and everything was okay. Little different twist, I am Ukrainian. My great-grandfather was Crimean Tatar, who are mixed Turkic and Mongolian. My wife is Ukrainian and Italian. My first boy was blonde. My second was dark-haired, dark-skinned, and has the classic almond-shaped Asiatic eyes. Mongolian spot. Despite the fact that we know my family history, we ordered a test to make sure there was no separation at birth. Stuff. C-section. Yep. That's our boy. You would never know looking at us that that boy is genetically related to us. And we love him to pieces. I'm a midwife. The only one I've seen was when a baby had to be taken to the nursery for treatment for abo incompatibility. We test the blood groups of all babies born to O+ mothers because they are at risk for it. So the mother was O+. And the baby was something else, would have been from the father. The father was insisting it couldn't be correct because it didn't match his blood group. We had to tell him to be quiet. Now was not the time place. Don't what ended up happening. However, they were from an ethnic background that may value certain blood types over others, so we did wonder if he actually knew his type or his parents had just told him it was the good one. Not exactly the situation you're asking for. But Reddit loves a good crazy story. My dad is blonde and my mom is brunette. I came out of the womb with fiery red hair. My dad's mom made a huge fuss about my mom cheating on my dad and had to be escorted out of the hospital. My grandmother's own mother had flaming red hair, which she apparently forgot until my great-grandmother held me for the first time and said, "I always wanted a baby with my red hair." Had a patient who came into ER for UT with her boyfriend of 4 months. His words. She was 19. Acting extremely dramatic for just having UT. We tell her we need urine. She urges us to cath her, which is really unusual, but she says she can't pee, so me and other nurse assume the position to put in a catheter with her lying on the gurney. At this point nurse screams, "Call L&D." She's crowning. L&D nurse gets in just in time to grab the child as it shoots out into her hands and is a living, breathing baby. The girl swears she had no idea she was pregnant. They wheel her off to postpartum and the guy is just kind of left standing there. Dumbstruck. We only been dating 4 months. I had no idea she was pregnant. She never mentioned it at all. As he just buried his head in his knees while he was sitting on the floor against the hallway wall. I felt so bad for the guy. Maybe I'm wrong, but wouldn't a pregnant person have at least some physical indication that they are pregnant? Like, I know there's the fear of asking if someone is pregnant and they aren't, but like, if you're dating, wouldn't that be fairly evident over time? Lol. Not a doctor or nurse, but an undergrad I had a buddy, Caucasian, who'd been dating the same girl, also Caucasian, for a while. She gets knocked up. He proposes. Fast forward a few months and both families are eagerly waiting at the hospital to meet the baby. The baby comes out black. Everyone is in shock. Girl is frantically trying to convince everyone that there's been a misunderstanding. My buddy called off the engagement immediately, returned the ring, and never looked back. Misunderstanding? How could there be any kind of misunderstanding? No idea what the doctors thought. But I had a phone call from the wife asking for my blood type while they were in the hospital the next day, and I ducked home. I'm A. The wife is O. Bob is A+. I've done enough science to know where that's going. I've done DNA testing. I'm 100% the dad. Still not sure how to get more interesting science info about the myriad markers that apparently exist. Not a doctor, but someone in my extended family had a baby, 2 Middle Eastern parents, that turned out to be dark-skinned. The father of the baby filed for divorce, even though the mother kept saying the baby was his. A few years later, they found out that the mother's great-grandmother was African and that the baby obtained strong genes from her. They didn't get back together, because too much had gone down at that point. But the mother was right all along. I'm gonna have to guess other issues were going on in that relationship. From my friend who was a delivery nurse for years. The mother takes the doctor aside and makes him promise to let her know the color of the baby the instant he knows. The baby is born and the doctor announces to mom, "Congratulations on your beautiful, healthy white baby." The father just walked right out the room and they never found anything more out about it. She played herself. Okay, story from a friend of my brother's. She worked as a nurse and a woman and her husband came in. They were both white. And she delivered a child that was black. The husband immediately starts saying WTF. While she is going on and on about dormant trays and everything. He orders a DNA test. While this is going on, her mother and stepdad show up. The stepdad is black. After the testing is done, the DNA test ends up showing that the baby is the stepdad's. Her husband instantly dropped her and cut ties.